Hi, today's card will be another in my St. Patrick's Day Series 2017. This card has been designed for a younger recipient. It features two teddy bears, which are green, which I've painted green for St. Patrick's Day, and a rainbow, which has a little bit of watercoloring. This is done by a die, and a circular sentiment. There also will be some distress ink blending for the outside to create the sky and the ground. The inside features two little bears peeking from both sides of the card. This card is easy. There's a few extra steps than normally take, but it's still very easy, and I hope you try this card. The papers that this card uses is a card base cut 8.5 by 5.5, a white panel, which is basically just 1/4 of a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, which is 5.5 by 4.25, a black mat cut 4 by 5.25, two white panels cut 4 by 5.25, a white square at least 2.5 inches, a green glitter strip. It needs to be at least a 1/2 inch wide. And I also have some self-adhesive fun foam. You can get this in a big pack from the dollar store. They also sell it in craft stores, but it's much easier to go to the dollar store. It has adhesive on one side, but if you're unable to get the fun foam with adhesive on one side, this takes tape and the Tombow very easy, so that shouldn't be a problem. The inks I'm using today, is Bundle Sage Distress Ink, Stormy Sky, and Frayed Burlap. I will be using two Memento inks, Memento Bamboo Leaves and Tuxedo Black. I will also be using Stella glitter markers. I'll be using the yellow, the green, and the blue. The stamps that I'm using today is Cookie-Cutter Christmas, and I'm going to be doing this teddy bear here, and he has a stamp for his ears and one for his face. This stamp set is very versatile. You can make a gingerbread, an Eskimo, or Santa. And this is a reindeer, but this is a punch that comes with this set, and you can punch out this reindeer by just turning the little guy upside down, and you can see the reindeer. I love this stamp set. When I saw it demonstrated, I just had to pick this up. And I don't know if it's still available from Stampin' Up, but if you can't, you can possibly find it on eBay. Oh, and also be using this punch to punch out the bear. Move that aside. I also have gotten a rainbow die cut set. This cuts out the different colors, the different pieces of the rainbow. It also comes with the sun die cut, which I won't be using for this card. Also, I'm using the Spellbinders Lacy Circles number 5, I think it is. No, Lacy Circles. And I'm using this one here. You see I have a little paper in there. Oh, I haven't cleaned that out yet. And I'm also going to be using some watercolor pencils. I have shades of green, pink, orange, all colors for the rainbow, and additionally I have a gold one. So that's all the supplies that I need so far. Let's just jump into the making of the card. Okay, the first thing I need to do is to stamp the bear. So taking the larger panel, I'm bringing in my Misty. Let's move this card out of the way. I don't want to damage it. And I have the teddy bear, and I place him where I want him to go. I'm going to stamp the bears on this side of the paper because this side of the paper is where the rainbow will be punched out. So I'm lining it up. I'll do it at the top so that way I can only move the paper once. Okay. And close the MISTI to transfer the stamp to the door. Making sure the paper is back in that corner. And I'm taking the green. And I'm going to double stamp this because this is a solid stamp and it tends not to transfer completely sometimes. So I'm going to give it 2 stamps. If you notice, the inside of its little body is a little bit light. Make sure this doesn't move, and then stamp them again, giving a good press. Okay, now I'm going to slide the paper down a little. Make sure I have moved it over enough, and I have not. And stamp the second bear. This will be a little bit difficult because it's only held against the left side and not against the corner. So you have to be real sure not to move this. Okay. Got a weird pressure thing there. I hope that fixes up when I press it the second time. Okay. Okay, and I need to punch out the little bear. So since the punch will punch the little circles and all this extra stuff, and I don't want to accidentally punch over the bear, I have to make sure that none of the second bear is showing when I drop down the punch. And it seems like I'm going to clear it. So this bear is very much to the edge of the punch. The other stamps in this series, there's a little white outline around the little image, but there is none for the bear, so you have to be careful in your lining up so you don't cut his little feet and fingers and all that stuff off. That looks good. And punch and stuff goes everywhere. Now slide it over and get the second bear. There. Okay. Let's clean this before I move it. And move this out of the way. And here were our little bears. Now I need to stamp the ears, and I'm going to have to be really careful with the paper because I have to leave enough of this cardstock for the rainbow, and additionally I need to ensure that I have a little bit of extra for the ears because I'm going to leave a little bit of extra paper when I cut out the ears so that I can tape it to the back of the head. So I'm going to bring the ears real close in. Like here, and so then when I stamp it, I will trim the ears out, and then I'll have this little piece of paper to attach them. And I had to bring in my stamp pad so I can get a little extra pushback on the stamp. And since the bear is double stamped, the ears also have to be double stamped. And this is a photopolymer, so you can just look right through the stamp and line it up. And I'll do the same thing on the other side for the other pair of ears. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in my paper cutter and just trim this off close to that. Making sure I don't cut the ears. And now this piece will be die cut for the rainbow. There we go. Oops. So just closely trim around the ears. Carefully, a little bit more careful than I'm doing. And then come in a little bit because we don't want this white to stick out over the top of his head. And then back up around the second ear. And leave a little bit. Taking a little bit of the Tombow glue, which hopefully is gonna run. Little glue there. Bring in the bear. One pair of bear ears. And do the same thing for the other bear. Now I have the little bear face on a small block, and I'm going to put that on with Memento black. The trick about this face is you have to be sure that you don't press it too hard because it's such a small stamp, and if you do, you'll get an artifact between the eyes and it'll make it look like he's got a unibrow going across the forehead. So you just want to be really light with the pressing. It's one. That's two. Now the bears are finished. Now I'm going to stamp the shamrock. I have a scallop shamrock stamp that says Happy St. Patty's Day in a circle. So I'm going to stamp that in Memento black. Try to get it as close to the center of this block as you can because you're going to be die cutting around it. Okay. Now comes the watercoloring. So bringing in the pencils. I have shades of green and a gold. I've shown the watercoloring procedure several times, but I'll just quickly go through it. You take the lightest color, you need at least 3 shades if you want to get really good blending. You can also get blending with 2, and if you're careful, you can actually get good blending with just 1 shade and just vary how heavy you use the pencil, but you won't get as good results. So you go all over your area that you're trying to color with your lightest. Then you start your shading from the left side with the medium tone and also from the right side with the medium tone. And then you take the darkest tone and you bring in shadows again from the left and blending out. And after you have enough shadows in and you're satisfied, you take the lightest color again and go all over to blend the colors. And you just keep going between the 2 shades until you're satisfied with the blending that you're getting. For the outer scallop, I'm going to do gold, and I'm only going to do just the 1 gold. I'm not going to worry about the shading. So I'm going to speed this part up to make the video a little bit shorter so you don't have to watch me coloring. Attach the fun foam to the white scrap. This is a little bit bigger than this, so I'll have to take my scissors and trim what is extra. This is adhesive on one side, so you peel back the paper, the release paper, as much as you need, and lay the cardstock on it. Almost. Now I'll trim the extra off because I'm going to use that foam for the bears because they need a little bit of popping up also. And I'll leave it on the paper for now. Set that aside. I could leave this on, but it'll be a little bit tricky fiddling around with the Big Shot with this adhesive foam on, so I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. You, of course, if you didn't want to be paper conserving like I am in this design, you could just grab some more white paper and you wouldn't even have to bother with this narrowness. Ugh, to my scissors. Okay, so now I have my cardstock on one side and the foam on the other, and I take my die and I lay it down on the paper side and I run it through the Big Shot this way. So I'm bringing in my Big Shot. I have my magnetic platform and I put the material down, foam side down, put the die in place. You could tape it down if you were afraid it was going to move, but I'm going to see if I can do this without taping it. And put the second plate down carefully so that it doesn't move. Press it and just run it through. Those noises are natural for the Big Shots process. Don't panic if you hear those noises. And while I have the Big Shot out, I'm going to die cut this one. So I have to be kind of careful because this scallop die is not quite the size of the scallop here, so I have to be really careful that it goes and doesn't cut off the scallop, and it's centered as much as I possibly can get it. And if I had a post-it note handy, I would put it on there so it didn't move. But let's see if we can manage without taping that down. Okay, don't move, and just run it through. Okay, and you just poke it out. And there's little bits of paper in here. You can just poke it out with a piercing tool, which I have here. I got this from Stampin' Up. And you just poke out the little pieces one by one. Comes right out. Okay. And that's it. I'll set that aside for now and take away the Big Shot. Now to pull the rainbow. The foam will hold the die pieces together, but just to be sure, I'm going to take a little bit of Scotch tape and tape the edges together. Each one of these ridges, I don't know if you can see it very well, is a separate piece in this die cut, but I want it to stay together for this application. So I'm going to pull the extra pieces away, which I don't need. And there you go. If you have to handle this kind of carefully so the pieces don't separate. A little small piece of Scotch tape. Now I'm going to bring in some scrap paper to protect my work surface. And I'm going to start coloring the rainbow. The rainbow starts with the red on the outside, the yellow, the orange, the yellow, green, blue, and purple. So I'm going to speed this part up, but I'm just going to take the watercolor pencils and color over each one of the rainbow areas. Okay, I'll set that aside to dry a little bit. And I'm going to bring in another piece of paper. Excuse me. Now bringing in the one of the two panels, I'm going to do some blending. I'm going to blend this side for the sky, and then this side will be blended for the ground. And I want to have a false horizon, so I'm going to make a quick mask with a piece of paper. It may be rather difficult to see with all this white on white. I'll do this so you can see what I mean quickly, but I'm not going to blend on this. So I'm laying it in place, and I'm using the paper as a guide, and I'm going to take my blending tool and my distress ink, which are here. I'm going to start off with the green and go lightly here, and then I'm going to go right along the edge with the frayed burlap a little bit, and then I will take my paper and move it to the other side and continue across with the Stormy Sky blue. I'm going to speed this part up. For the blending, you just move the tool in light motions back and forth across the paper. And circular motions is best because it prevents you from leaving little artifacts. And I'm quickly making sure that I've allowed enough space for the sky and the ground. And I just go over the colors as I mentioned, moving my paper to make sure I don't mess up my grid mat. And I added a little bit more green. I didn't think it was enough. Now I'm just assembling the card. I'm taping the white panel down to the black mat and bringing in the card base and creasing it. I still haven't found my bone folder. And I'm taping the new panel to the card base. The rainbow, I have to get my tweezers and pull the scotch tape off so that the adhesive will stick to it when I mount it to the panel. And I'm just running my tape runner over it, making sure I get really good coverage so that it stays put. And for the bears, I'm using some of the scraps that was left over from the fun foam and putting a little bit at the back of their feet and just up to their shoulders. I want to make sure their head is clear because it'll be over the rainbow part, which is already popped up enough. And I'm adding a little tombow to the heads so they will stick to the rainbow. The left bear, I should have pulled it down a little bit more to cover the edge of the rainbow, but I decided to live with it. And the circle part, I'm going to pop that up on double foam tape because it needs to clear the rays of the bears and still be on top. And I'm putting a little Tombow to make that stick. And I found I had a little piece of paper, so I cleared it with my piercing tool. I didn't film this part because it'll be the same technique that I did before, but I took the white panel that's left and I stamped the two bears on one on each side for the inside. Now that I have the inside panel finished, I'm going to use my markers and color the lettering for the sentiment. I did yellow for the luck and green for the shamrock and blue for happiness. So that's the card. It is a little bit longer than my other videos because there was a few more extra steps here. I went over watercoloring, die cutting, blending, and also there was how to use fun foam. This card is really cute. I hope you try this card yourself. I appreciate you watching my videos. Please subscribe so that you can see more content. I try to turn out videos pretty frequently, and I hope this has been helpful for you. And as always, have a good day. Thank you.